Grand. So, we're working. Are you ready, big boy? You gonna get the show started?
Let's just get on with it.
God, you're so fucking enthusiastic. I'm so happy we get to do this a second time because you're still miserable. So, let's get this started. Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond Fandom. I'm your host, MJ, and I'm joined with the laughing one, the fun one, the maniacal one, Josh.
Hey, Fredo.
And we're going to be discussing
What's
Stranger
up?
Things Season 3. What's down?
Do we have to?
We don't have to if you really don't want to. Like, I can just stop now. uh, as you can tell from my co host, he's not super enthusiastic about this season of television that we've watched. And let's get into it. We want to give some general thoughts. So, come on, Josh. Give us some general thoughts about Season 3. What did you like? What didn't you like about it?
It was okay.
Now, it being okay probably wouldn't be bad, but considering how high the show started, you know, okay just doesn't really cut it anymore, does it? Like, we don't want okay.
Correct.
Exactly. So, if we're saying it's just okay, what what did you like about it? Because sometimes you can be a little bit too negative about things. Let's see what we liked first.
Hey. I liked my boy Steve.
Yeah,
I like my
that's a
boy
given.
Dustin.
Never
They're
given.
two characters I think that are quite good. I thought Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter Maya Hawke, she did quite good with what she had. I thought the performance, not the character, but the performance by the guy who played Billy, um, was good. I'd say most of the performances were okay. Okay to good. It was mainly the writing that was the issue. But yeah, nah. I thought from episode 3 onwards, the pace was quite good because it was a fucking mind-numbingly slow start. But after that, it was paced quite well. Like it's always a constant build. I thought there's some good effects, some nice little set pieces. Yeah, that's about my positives.
Okay, like
What were yours?
again, I think I agree with you where it was just okay. Like I felt it had a extremely weak beginning. Like the first two episodes, you could lose them, and I thought the
Yep.
ending was poor because the episode, the finale, it basically ends 40 minutes in, and then we basically have like 10, 15 minutes of like sobbing and being sad.
Epilogue.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep. Yep.
the thing is, it feels wasted because I'm convinced the fucker isn't even dead.
Spoilers. See, look, this guy doesn't even put out a spoiler warning. You
Look,
guys.
I, I, I tell you this every episode. If you're watching these episodes, just expect spoilers because I'm tired of pussyfooting around spoilers. Like, you should be watching these for a discussion and thoughts, not like, oh, I thought it was really good, but I can't talk about it because it would be spoilers. So sorry if it was spoiled,
Ooh.
but that's your warning from now on. Uh, Basically, when Hopper supposedly died, if we saw him get vaporized like those Russian scientists, I'd be like, okay, he's dead. You can have your epilogue and your sad last 15 minutes because it means something.
Mm-hmm.
But when you make
Yep.
a point of showing me these Russian scientists get zapped and I don't see him get zapped, I'm not convinced he's dead. So,
So you think the American who's in the Russian, wherever the fuck, is Hopper?
yes, I'm convinced that's
Okay.
him. I've heard other people say it could be someone else, but I'm convinced it's Hop.
Okay.
Compared to the other seasons, like if we compare it to seasons 1 and 2, I thought season 1 is still the strongest season. Like, I couldn't think of an episode in season 1 where I was like, oh, this is a bit meh. As soon as you get to season 2, though, like, they hit the fucking brakes right in the home stretch. It's like they're ramping up the speed, and they put the brakes down. It's like, okay, that episode sucked. Like, what was that all about? Uh, it's like you've got a halftime show between what you actually want to watch. Uh, whilst season 3, I felt they had plenty of episodes. The first 2 were poor, and there's the odd episode throughout the season where I was like, it's not quite doing it for me. Uh, and you start like asking questions throughout the episode, not like the, oh, what's going to happen now? More like, how the hell is this happening? And not in the,
Or why is this happening?
yeah, not in the impressed way where you're like, oh, this is good, this is nuts, this is like, this doesn't make sense. What about yourself? If you're comparing it to seasons 1 and 2, where does this place for you?
I mean, season 1 is one of the better seasons of a TV show I've ever seen. It's definitely up there. Definitely up there with my favorites at the very least. Season 2, there was a significant dip, and I'd say season 3 is around the same level, probably for different reasons. But yeah, so this is nowhere even close to season 1 in terms of if any form of metric of how you want to evaluate this season.
Yeah.
It's not even close to season 1.
Put a number on it for
Comparable
me.
to season 2. This season,
Yeah.
a number,
Yeah.
probably like a 5,
Whoa. Okay.
5, 6, 5 or 6,
And
if I'm being generous.
what's season 1?
Like a 9,
Okay.
9.5, 9.
So that's where you definitely feel like there's much more of a difference. Like season 1 feels tighter and more constructed.
Correct.
Seasons 2 and 3 feel like they've got a narrative, but they have to stretch it over episodes. Like, we always talk about how, like,
Well,
the Marvel shows need to condense episodes, like, they don't have enough story for the episodes they have. This felt like they had less episodes, like 8 episodes, but they were stretching it, and then they added a bunch of filler episodes at the beginning.
yeah.
Uh,
And for 8 episodes, if you're stretching it at 8, you don't have a rich enough story. You should have just made it a TV movie.
like, as it felt like it was getting its foot in, like, as it was ramping up the gears, it just felt like, okay, we're getting into Stranger Things, it's Stranger Things, we're getting it. And then you look at the episodes like, oh, there's 1 episode left. I was like,
See, for me, like, the first season of Stranger Things was, like, very unique and very different, even though it's obviously referencing a lot of things. Whereas season 2 and season 3 are just like your average, everyday television show now.
yeah,
Have the same tropes. It's become a meme of itself. Self-referential stuff that we see on other television shows that we've discussed in depth before many times. This is the new Game of Thrones, where it's cool to like it. Season 1 was a great season and it's been downhill ever since. Things don't make sense. They're all about appeasing the fanboys and looking for things that are cute. Gotta have Mike and Eleven being cutesy. You gotta have bromance between Steve and Dustin. You gotta have the girl power stuff. Or it's just a meme of itself now. It's not about things. Well, it's not about things that make sense. It's not about logical progression of characters and story. It's just what are what's going to be the next meme, you know?
Well,
Scoops Ahoy,
well, in terms of memes,
etc.
tell us what you mean because we discussed this earlier, but just for the audience.
I mean, people made memes that we're living in a meme culture. So I think a lot of times now in a lot of shows, or the majority of shows, they're just looking for something that's going to generate like fan memes and fan forums, and like it really felt that this season was just taking anything that the fans latched onto last season and just upping it tenfold. Like Steve and Dustin, which again I like, but it's just like, okay, so the whole season is just Steve and Dustin,
Yeah.
and then Eleven and Mike. Let's have them make out for 2 episodes, like. And 11, like, yeah, the things that didn't work, like the the fucking X-Men bullshit that we got in season 2, completely, like, that episode just, you could say, didn't ever actually happen and didn't exist, because it was so, like, disconjointed from season 2, and it's not even referenced in season 3.
Like,
So, which is fine. Like, we're always on about like people, like these people should not disrespect their fan base. But when you start patronizing and placating to their every whim, it's like, okay, like you're not. To me, it's just like fishing for memes. That's what it became for me.
well,
If that makes sense.
yeah, like that's the problem
What's cute? They're looking for what's cute.
where it did start off so promisingly in season one, and because it felt fresh, like it fit that nostalgic need. They obviously borrowed heavily from certain things from the 80s, but it still had like
Yeah.
its own identity. And as we've got to season three, it feels like we've got to a new era of the 80s, and it's just not working well. Like they're trying to get this Russian subplot, like this Russians are invading America secretly.
Yeah.
They're
The
trying,
Red Dawn shit.
yeah, they're trying to blend it with aliens and different dimensional.
Terminator.
We haven't even got to a Terminator yet, and you've got like
Oh
the
boy.
alien storyline again. Not the alien, but whatever they are, the upside down.
Demagogue and whatever the fuck they want to call it.
But then they've then tried to splice in a bit of like The Thing and Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yeah.
And I'm watching it, I'm like, some of this is working, but you know where you had like that too many chefs?
Yes.
It feels like they've got too many fucking inspirations and they're trying to pull it into one pot and get something out of it.
Yeah. Because I mean, we've discussed this many times, but in my opinion, like, season 2 and especially now season 3 just confirm like this show should have been an anthology.
Yeah.
Different characters, different story each season, reference. That way you can like have unlimited amount of like 80s references, because every season you can always do something based off sci-fi or horror, but
Yeah.
like you could always do something different. And because it's really gotten to the point now with the show where like season 1 was like a perfect balance of different genres, and they all kind of worked together because you had distinct things going on with different characters, and they all fed into a different part of 80s nostalgia. And now you've just got the characters in, I think you've said it before, of like, yeah, it's a Die Hard situation where the same things is happening to the same people over and over again. And this season especially, like, there are characters who just have nothing to do and have no point in the plot other than, well, they're in the past 2 seasons, so they have to be there.
Yeah.
Like Will and Lucas, like, you could have taken them out of this season and the story would have virtually been unaffected. And where in past seasons, in season 1, you have different characters in different places with other different characters, like they're all splintered off. But but they're all learning different pieces of information of the plot, and we know it, like, because we're learning it as the characters are knowing it, but we know that the other characters don't know. So then when they all come together, they all have something to bring to the plot and to the story and to the other characters. They don't just feel wasted. Whereas this season, like, Nancy and Jonathan, they don't really learn anything. They don't really bring anything to the story other than the only reason they're pretty much there is at the very end to drive the car.
Well,
other than that, there's no reason for them to be there.
That's something
they don't bring anything, you know?
That's important to note, because when we say about like characters have nothing left to do anymore, and we look at season 1 where it felt natural that these characters eventually hit a collision path.
Yes.
Whilst in this season, I was like, so at what point is Dustin and Steve going to meet up with the other guys? Oh, how's Hopper and, Joyce
there's no logical through line of how to get these characters together.
And when they eventually get together, I was like, oh, that's how they're going to combine everyone together. Because when
It felt very hackneyed.
Yeah, like when you watch TV, if you've watched enough of it and you try and write it,
See a pattern.
Yeah, you see the pattern, you see the structure, and you know by season finale, all these storylines have to combine, because it's like, why have we got the Russian storyline? Because the Russians have opened up this portal. Okay, what's the importance of that to someone else? Well, the portal has enabled this alien to be roaming about, or we'll call it the Mind Flayer, to be roaming about, and that affects our other storyline. However, when you get to the solution of that storyline, of shutting the portal and it kills the Mind Flayer, I don't understand how it kills the Mind Flayer, because if 11 shut the portal in season 2, and their justification that the Mind Flayer survived was because a piece of it got cut off and ended up in our world, okay, I can buy that. But then you can't then shut the portal in season 3 and say it's killed the Mind Flayer, because I thought it was already part of our universe.
I mean, to be honest with you, MJ, I was barely paying attention at this point of the show.
Like, this is where it comes into the problem where we couldn't just have the Mind Flayer because it feels like a retread of seasons 1 and 2. Like, I already felt it was a bit tedious this time around now. Like, third time going on the same boat.
Definitely tedious.
I was like, because season 2 ended with like the shot of the Mind Flayer in the Upside Down over the prom site. And in hindsight, that doesn't make any sense to me. It made a cool shot. It was a cool shot, but it didn't make sense for me in the story. And
that's the thing with this show for me, is like, they've said they've had a 4 or 5 season plan, but like, to me it feels from season 2 onwards, like, I didn't see a plan. I didn't see. I thought it was just they were making shit up as they were going along.
That's what it.
And they had to have, right? Because with this season they've definitely adjusted to like what the fans were saying about season 2.
Yeah. Like,
so was there a plan, or are they just full of shit?
I wonder just how much So if we go back to season 2, that unfortunate episode that kind of got shit canned in continuity, I wonder if that was supposed to play a bigger part in season 3, and that's why it doesn't feel as tight, because they scrapped it and you're left with like an hour or 2 of television to fill.
I think it had to. It had to have been bigger part of it.
And I wonder how much of a chunk that took out, or what it would have enhanced.
I just think it would have been different.
Because if it was different, I could actually start to buy that maybe one of those like gifted people was with Dustin and Steve going into a Russian base and able to keep them invisible, I could now start to buy that
Hmm.
they can sneak around. Uh,
Hmm.
whilst otherwise, we've got Captain Erica, Steve, and
Oh god.
Dustin, and the other Scoops Ahoy person. They're just walking around the Russian base, like in a line of four in a long hallway. And I was like, so when are these guys going to get busted? And from a cinematography point of view, I understand why you have to have them walking in a line so you can see the
Looks very nice, doesn't
faces of each person. But realistically,
it? Yeah.
you'd be going in single file trying to hug the sides because you wouldn't want to be spotted. It's like, oh. Uh, and do you remember Erica from season two?
Barely.
See, I don't remember her too well, but she must have made quite the impact on people because she got a bigger part in season three.
Girl power.
God, see, this is the problem as well. They seem to make your male heroes look stupid. Because
Because white men are stupid and useless, MJ,
it just seems to come
according
down to
to
like
today's climate.
female characters have to save the day, like Joyce, Eleven,
Hmm.
Erica. Uh,
See, the problem as well is like in season one, right? That all felt very natural because Eleven has the powers and
yeah,
everything, but she's also vulnerable. Ooh. And in, you still here?
Yep.
Sorry. And in season one as well, you had Nancy
yeah,
pick up the shotgun as well because was it Jonathan couldn't use it or whatever? He didn't know how to, but it felt natural in the story.
yeah.
Is what I'm trying to get at. It didn't feel like, oh, we should placate to the fans by making it all about like girl power. I mean, this time it felt very forced.
Yeah. Like,
Just like in Avengers Endgame when you have 50 women standing together.
like
It's like, this doesn't feel very natural. I'm sorry.
when you say it, I don't mind it for 11. Like, there's times in this season where, you know, when Joyce and Jonathan go to the hospital room, I'm like,
Hmm.
yo, Joyce, why are you taking fucking douchebag with you? Shouldn't you take the heavy artillery? Like, shouldn't you be taking 11?
You'd
Because
think so.
I would be, I'd be attached to 11 with handcuffs. I'd be like, I'm sticking with her because she's got the magic powers and she's throwing people about. And that's the problem. Like, you start getting these things where Joyce and fucking Jonathan go upstairs and then they get attacked. And it's like, this would all be game over if 11 was there. It's like, just throw them about, do what you need to, game over. And I know that doesn't make for exciting plot sometimes, but then you could have instigated.
Don't put them in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. But you could have just made it a bit more interesting where we start to see Eleven's powers maybe fade a lot sooner into the season.
Yeah.
Because then you'd have had the threat
Could have
again.
definitely. Correct.
Uh, and then it would be like, okay, I understand why Jonathan and Nancy have to go now because 11 doesn't have the power anymore. Like, it's out of juice. But when she's fully charged, I'm like, just take her with you. Like, a couple of nosebleeds, slam a person, slam this person, slam another person. Because
Yeah.
that's when it's good. But this is the problem they've now got, where they've got a cast of characters that we liked, but they feel like it no longer fits in the story
Yeah.
because they've now just been
Um,
shoehorned into it over and over again.
I mean, that's what most of it felt like. They were shoehorning in
Like,
a lot of things.
okay, well,
Shoehorning a lot.
I'll take over a second. When we're talking about what worked in season 2 and they blow it up more in season 3. I think what we can expect coming in season 4 is more of Dustin and his girlfriend, because when they had that duet with the never ending story, like, I really liked that scene. But
Did you?
in season 4, I'm expecting, like, to hear another musical number, or we're going to get her involved in the story just because it was a
Because that
highlight.
was a meme.
Yeah,
Yep.
because it was so
Back.
popular. And my problem is, I don't see how these guys go into season 4, because you've split the band, like Joyce, 11, Will, and Bonifant have disappeared. They've moved town. And then you're left with Mike, Lucas, Max, and Dustin. Uh, Steve and Scoops Ahoy Lady, they're currently still in Hawkins, and I'm okay with that. But the story feels bigger than them. Like, it's now taking part in Russia, potentially in season 4, because we've got that Russian base with the Demogorgon being captured. But I want to see what they can do, because when you mention anthology, I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. And to compare it to another TV show like True Detective, season 1, phenomenal. Season 2, bit of a misstep. Season 3, back to form. They did a great job in season 3. And that's an anthology series. But season 3 has a couple of cute references to the other 2 seasons, and it works. But I feel the best thing they could do for season 4 is to probably scrap most of the cast. Like, I know we love
Yeah, but
them,
they're not going to do that, though, are they?
and this is the problem, because now we'll get to season 4 and I'll see a trailer and we'll see what they can do. But I haven't the highest of hopes for them.
I have 0. I mean, I went into this season thinking I don't really want to see another one.
Yeah.
I was on board with season 2 because I'm like, oh yeah, I like season 1. Let's see if they do anything different, and they didn't. They just pretty much did the same thing again,
Yeah.
which was fine. It's entertaining. Like, we've done a lot of complaining. Like, I wouldn't say this is a bad show or a bad season of TV. It's just painfully average
Yeah.
for something that started off so good. And I genuinely, like, I'll watch season 4, but I don't have any interest for it. I have no anticipation for it, and I don't have any high hopes for it. I think it'll just be more of the same, like what you just said about, like, they're going to bring in Dustin's girlfriend and there'll be another musical number. Of course that's going to happen. No doubt in my mind.
See,
Maya, what's her name? Maya Hawke, she'll get a girlfriend. She'll fall in love.
God.
Steve will finally get a girlfriend next season, guaranteed.
Oh, we'll finally find someone to fall in love and, you know,
That's correct.
like, that was a criticism of season 2 for me, where we had, like, Billy. Felt like
Billy!
I didn't get
Oh,
why
Billy
we
boy.
had him. He just felt a bit surplus, whilst Max felt like, you know, we're just filling out the gang.
We need another girl in
Yeah.
this group.
And
A bit like Erica this season.
exactly. But
Just need another girl.
I don't understand why we need them. Like, we had Erica. She must have been a hit with some sort of demographic, because I don't know. And
Diversity.
in season 3, we had Billy playing the bad guy. And
Billy!
his character didn't make sense
do
as
it, Billy.
a bad guy, because
No, they just forced that on there, didn't they?
they tell us through the seasons, like, oh, they're like sleeper agents. Once they're activated, it can choose to activate any of these people and use them as and when. And it does that, no problem. It effectively wipes out a bunch of people just to turn its body even bigger. And I was thinking, well, why didn't they do that to Billy? And that's because
Do it, Billy.
they needed a face for the villain, but
That's correct.
they wanted a face for the villain, but they wanted to then tell me that, oh, these guys are drones. So
Yeah.
they tried to give him personality, but I'm seeing all these other guys walk around as drones. So I'm thinking, why don't you just absorb him? Like, that could be quite sad to see him die because of his connection to Max. But instead, they want
There is
me
no
to
connection to it.
feel sad when he does die, getting killed for
Hmm.
11. And I was just like, I don't feel anything for him because I don't care.
You know what could have
Does it
been
make
an interesting
sense?
alternative? You know what could have been an interesting alternative? If they because the beginning, like in episodes 1 and 2, like Nancy's off trying to break this story and shit so she can like make it in the newspaper game, and she's working with Jonathan and shit. Like they could have it where they have like a disagreement, or like she gets herself in trouble and Jonathan has to drive somewhere to like pick her up or rescue her, or they get into a fight, anything. And then Jonathan could have been the one who gets taken over by the Mind Flayer. And then you kind of connected back to season 1, where instead of Will being the one who's in danger, you could have it be the brother.
Yeah.
Could have been a way to tie Will into the story. Um,
And we could have got our boy
and also
Steve
like
killing him.
could have had Steve win a fight against old Jonathan, get his revenge.
Exactly.
And also like Jonathan's meant to be more of a sympathetic character, even though I think he's a creep, weird,
Yeah.
annoying character, but he's meant to be a hero. So like having one of the heroes be the villain of the season would have been like an interesting little twist. Whereas Billy, it's like I didn't care about him last season, and credit to the guy, did a good performance this year. But I just don't care about the character.
Yeah.
Just felt like he's just there for the abs, and because we need a bad boy.
And we needed a bad boy, but again,
Bad boy.
we didn't care
Oh,
about him.
Billy boy.
Like, you've got this cast of characters that were already struggling to justify being here, so you could have taken one of them and made them the bad guy. And that could have been like, it would have been super dark if you had one of the kids being the bad guys and
Yeah, sure.
the other kids had to be like,
We can't have that.
I know.
We can't have that because all the fanboys and fangirls love the little kids. They love watching them play Dungeons and Dragons and kiss in their rooms. So we can't have that.
But it would have been far more interesting because we'd have had a connection with him. Not Will, because Will's got no personality and he doesn't like girls.
Shit. Yeah, were they hinting that he was gay?
I have no idea. Like, I don't care either way, but they just wasn't clear about it. Because I wasn't sure if it was like, oh, the other two guys, they're in like the girlfriend phase where they like girls and Will still likes his Dungeons and Dragons. But then
You
I was
don't
like,
even like girls.
yeah, I was like, is that like a, you're gay or is it a, you're just still caught up in your Dungeons and Dragons?
I don't know.
But
See, the problem is, like, and I was having this thought, I think I may have brought this up to you before, is like, the dialogue, I mean, most of the time this season I felt the writing overall, not just the dialogue, just the writing in general, was either lazy or bad. But I couldn't tell with, like, some of the dialogue, like, was the dialogue always this cheesy or bad because it was coming out of the, but it just was masked because they had kids saying the dialogue, so it sounded realistic because that's how kids talk, like complete idiots. But now that the kids are a little older, they're saying the similar things, so the writing wasn't being masked anymore.
yeah,
I mean, characters were acting childish, even people who were in their 40s, like Hopper was acting like a little child, like anytime Winona Ryder would talk to another guy, oh, is that your boyfriend now? And, like, acting very weird about 11 having a boyfriend, which to me, early on, I don't know about you, was coming across as, like, jealousy, like, is he in love with 11?
well,
And I was like, oh no, he's just, like, is he drunk? Is he a drunk dad? He's gonna start beating these fuckers?
yeah,
I had no idea what was going on. But then it was just like, oh, he's just comical. This is meant to be funny. And to me, it was just coming across as strange.
yeah.
Stranger Things.
Well, that was the thing where the writing's definitely changed in the direction because
Mm-hmm.
emotions this season are more exaggerated than the emotions in earlier seasons where they felt more authentic and understandable in the
Yeah.
scene. Like Joyce was paranoid trying to find her son. None of her reactions was a over the top comedic anger where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you tell
You can
those
understand
boys
where she
to
was coming
get
from.
them the army to Hawkins right now. It was more like,
Yeah.
why aren't you helping me? And it was a different
Yeah.
way of playing the emotion. And she just
Yeah.
comes off as like comedic. Uh,
Yep.
like it felt like they tried to give,
Because that was a cute moment.
yeah,
You know what I mean? They
they
want a cute moment.
they just gave the emotional anchoring to Billy, but we didn't like
Billy.
Billy. And they tried,
Correct.
they give him his inception moment in the finale where Eleven goes into his mind and it's like, oh, this is the problem, or this is that. Or, I'm like, don't know Billy, don't know about his mommy issues, don't care, get over it, let's move on. Because we've got no investment in Billy. Uh, again, it's beating a dead horse, but they tried to make it such a pivotal moment instead of focusing on a character they've built that people like. Uh, again, you could have had any of those cast be the Mind Flayer and have the Mind Flayer play it both ways, where it's a drone, but they can utilize the emotion and personality of the people they've taken over to manipulate
Mm-hmm.
people. So, could you imagine if Will had the chance to kill the Mind Flayer, but then it turns into Jonathan?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I
Yeah.
totally understand why you want to hesitate now because Jonathan went through a lot of hell to get you, but you can't save
Yeah.
him. Like, you have to kill him. Like, if you had one of
Yep.
these characters who went through hell to come and rescue you, but you couldn't return the favor to them because they're already dead. It's just
Yeah.
the Mind Flayer being able to utilize their memories to manipulate you and get you to drop your guard to kill you. Could have been a
Yeah.
lot more powerful.
Yeah, like at the very end of Terminator 2,
Yeah,
where T-1000's pretending to be Sarah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Except that Sarah's actually dead in this scenario.
A lie. Yeah.
Uh, but
Um,
it would have been
Yeah.
darker, and I think you might have turned a few fans off. But you'd have probably earned your tears if you're going for them.
yeah. That's the problem, though, is that the show just doesn't care about doing anything interesting. They just want to. They don't want to upset their fanboys and their fangirls, man.
See, I would have liked to have seen like the age groups of who like Stranger Things because my sisters like Stranger Things. They're 13 and 15, and
Mm-hmm.
they really like it. They love it. And I would like to know why, because I like it because I've watched a lot of 80s movies. I like that familiarity with it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
because as we get older and time moves on, you start to see like 80s have like a specific style, the 90s has a specific style, the 2000s, like the way films are made, just there's something about the style that changes. Like even the sound of film changes throughout the decades.
Yeah.
And seeing Stranger Things, it seemed to have come at a time where a lot of films were harkening back to the 80s, even if it was through the sound design and the music or the references, the style. People were just trying to capture that essence.
Yeah.
And it was something I like because I like Spielberg, and Spielberg did a lot more in the 80s where a lot of Stranger Things were inspired by his films back then. All sorts of his films, or films he was involved in. But I couldn't tell you what other people like from it. Like, is it just the characters they like? Could you have just put those characters in a different setting?
I mean, I think I've said this again. I think people don't know why they like things anymore.
Hmm.
I think they just like it to like it.
Yeah.
I see it on my Instagram feed all the time. People posting about how they're watching Stranger Things and now they cried and they love 11 and blah blah. They just like it just to like it.
See,
So most of I'd say the majority of these people did not watch the movies that these show is referencing. Guaranteed they didn't watch Invasion of the Body Snatchers or Day of the Dead. Guaranteed.
yeah. Like, seeing those things, I thought was quite amusing because I was like, oh, I've
So I
watched
grew up
these
watching that
films,
stuff.
yeah. Uh, and it was good to see it play out in that fashion. I mean, you can tell what inspires them and what they outright rip off, as you mentioned, Aliens. But when I saw that
Mm-hmm.
Aliens bit, I was like, oh, this is going to get good. It didn't,
Yeah, that was the best part of season 2.
but it could have been better. Like,
Yep.
because it was cool and it got like the nostalgia juices flowing. It's like, oh, this is going to be good. We're going to see like all these demi-dogs or whatever they are just tear the soldiers apart. But we don't see it. It happens off screen, doesn't it? We just see like, the motion sensors with like the dots and it's like beep. And all the soldiers are just dropping off screen, similar to Aliens. But Aliens, we saw the
Similar.
aliens grab them.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just as exactly like
yeah, I mean,
similar to it all.
I mean, in Aliens, we saw the aliens grab the Marines, and you saw it from a Marine perspective. Whilst in Stranger Things, we just seem to have saw it mainly from, like, the control room. You know, like Gorman, where he says the Marine statistics dropping.
Yeah.
Because it's like all the heart rate sensors just start failing for everyone. It's like,
So then you feel like you actually get to see and feel the chaos of what's going on.
yeah. And I felt they played with that in Stranger Things. I was like, oh, I wanted to see it happen, but we didn't. And if we are looking at season 4, I think they have to wipe the slate clean. I'll be happy to eat my words if season 4 is phenomenal and they ignored any of like my. They'll ignore my thoughts anyway if they don't listen to the show. But if they manage to just make it a great season of television and they made it work, but I don't think they're gonna be able to.
Nah, I have no faith. I have zero. Said it before, said it again. Should have been an anthology
Yeah, like
because they have nothing.
an anthology would have been really fun. If
But you can do different sci-fi and horror things, you know?
yeah,
Like, it doesn't always have to be about these fucking kids. Like, because, like, Mike's an annoying little cunt. Fuck that kid off. 11, people love 11. I find her to be a bit spoiled, and if things don't go away or people don't agree with her or whatever, she acts like a spoiled little bitch. I like Dustin, I like Steve. Nancy's cute, so I'll give her a pass. But everyone else, like, I don't care. Like, so I'm not latched onto these characters like everyone else is, even though like the only thing the show really does have going for it at this point is the characters.
yeah,
I used to like Hopper, but then they completely fucked him this season.
yeah,
He was just shit to me. Didn't like anything he was doing. He was definitely one of my favorite characters, especially in season 1, where you set up. You know, it looks like he's going to be like, oh, the bumbling sheriff who doesn't believe like what's going on and blah blah. But then he's like, you know, one of the more assured, and more interesting characters on the show.
completely
And
agree.
he was great, and now it's like, I'm an angry dad, and I don't like it when the woman I like talks to other guys. It's like,
Like, they could have played with a lot more things that they were setting up because they tried to establish that Hawkins isn't the same community anymore, especially with this shopping mall taking over and
Yeah.
all the business moving out to there. Uh,
Yeah.
what does he even
Could have
do
played with that
anymore?
idea more.
Yeah, except it was just like a
Nothing.
front for like the Russians.
Mhm.
But then you've got Hopper, who in season one, he's so much more layered. Like, that's what
Yeah.
still allows him to function in season three. Not well, but still function because the layers we had in season one, where he had a daughter who died. Uh,
Yeah,
his
and there's got
wife,
this new daughter.
yeah, his wife left him. So in season two, when Eleven's with Hopper, it makes sense because it feels a lot more organic for them to be paired up together.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, he's got that cabin in the woods, it's isolated, so she could stay there
We
with
could have
him.
done some. Could have done some Evil Dead references.
Well, so that relationship made sense. And then in season three, it's just a lot more comedic uh, with the overly sensitive dad. But then 11, it feels like continuity issues where sometimes she'll have the stilted
Dialogue. Where
dialogue,
she acts like a fuckwit.
and then some other times it'll be like, oh, she's fine.
Yep.
So you can never like keep track of like whether it's just continuity not keeping up with like actually no, your performance has to stay a bit more consistent. Because there'll be times it's like, oh, 11's progressed, and then there'll be times it's like, oh no, wait, she's still, you know,
Friends lie.
it's like,
Fuck off.
I mean, that's where you think should she have progressed as a character a bit more instead of just snugging the face off Mike for like a year. I mean,
Ugh.
I can't remember
He's an
how.
ugly looking kid too.
I know, right? I can't remember how much time has passed between season two and three. I'm not sure if they've mentioned it.
It's got to have been a while.
Like, it has to be because the actors have grown up so fast between seasons. I mean,
These dickheads had hindsight, right? Because you could do anything in this universe theoretically. It's like they should have. If you wanted to do it, because obviously, like, they weren't going to stop at season two. As soon as season one became a hit, they're going to keep milking this until they're done. So I don't like. Okay, by the time we come back, these kids are going to be even bigger. So I don't like force something where there has to be a time jump at the end of season two.
yep, they could have done that. Like, I wouldn't have minded. Like, it didn't have to be
Like,
the summer of, was it 1984? Like, there's nothing particular that made it have to be that year.
yeah, look,
Come on.
I don't know.
Let's,
I'm so unenthusiastic about this show.
well, let's wrap it up then. Are you in for season four?
I'll watch it. I don't want to say I'm in because I wasn't really in for this season either. I just watched it just because it was on. I was like, okay, well, I've got nothing else to watch. I was like, alright, let's just see what they do. I had no interest. And it pretty much was what I expected it to be. I actually didn't expect the first two episodes to be as bad as they were. Like, especially that first episode. That was particularly bad. That's close to season 2 X-Men episode level.
Yeah.
Very close. But look, I'll watch it because again, like I said, like overall, it's not bad. And there's always like, it's a show of moments. I wouldn't say there's like good episodes anymore. It's just like good moments sprinkled throughout that keep you like, oh yeah, I remember Aliens, or oh yeah, I remember Invasion of the Body Snatchers, oh yeah, I remember the Terminator. But yeah, I'm not excited, and I expect it to probably be. It could get worse, you know. This could get worse. Oh dear, I don't know.
No. Like,
But it was fine. It was okay. I know we're gonna get a lot of shit from people on who fanboys of this, but Stranger Thrones gets a solid 5, maybe 5.5 from me for season 3.
I
5,
would
6.
have to agree. Like, I think they need to wipe the slate clean for season 4. They can still keep elements of the universe, but I feel like this current cast has run its course. And I will watch season 4, but I'm not excited like I was for season 2. Season 3 just arrived, and I was like, I'll watch it. Like, I didn't not like season 2, so I'll watch season 3. But season 4, I'm like, season 3 was okay. Like, it picked up, but it just felt like they're hanging on now. Before, I felt they had a solid path, they had a vision they wanted to accomplish. Whilst now, I feel like they just don't have enough ideas or ways to get the story told. I don't think there's enough story to tell. Or
Correct. Absolutely. Agreed.
So yeah, well, that's been another exciting show of the fandom, beyond fandom. Hopefully, guys, if you like this is like a live recording. So if you do want to get involved in it, message us on the fandom. We'll get you all hooked up so we can get more of us talking on here. Because it would have been nice to have Prodigy on board, because he might have been a bit more enthusiastic about this season. Because he did seem a bit more enthusiastic about it. He wasn't a big fan of the first 2 episodes, but the later episodes, I think he was a lot more.
I believe he used the words "things are really picking up,"
Yeah.
which he also said about another television show at one point before that all fell apart.
We still have to get to that. I want to hear his thoughts on that one for sure. We'll book another one in the diary. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys.